This is my first ever drawing, 6 years ago. I wasn't good at art, especially not at school. I was a kid who couldn't even draw a stick figure straight. But art always fascinated me. The idea that with just a pencil and eraser, you could create something from nothing. So I decided to challenge myself and draw for 100 days straight. Starting with the first 10 days, mainly focusing on anatomy, especially faces, and head shape. Eventually moving on to hands. And you could have found a 5-year-old probably better than me. And I swear the hands are going to be the death of me. I kept working on my hands, no longer looking like the hieroglyphs of a sleep-deprived caveman. Day 11 through 20, I spent still working on my poses and anatomy. And on day 16, this is the best drawing I had so far after trying to get faces down. And after coming back after a short burnout, I came back and drew this, which isn't great, but it's definitely something. This became part of my routine. I would try to actually make a drawing looking at some references, and this was one of the ones that came out pretty decent. And then for some reason, I decided to go back to hands, but looking back, it was definitely worth it. Especially on these drawings, they took, I think, like 3 hours, but they came out amazing. Finally, starting on day 20, I worked on eyes. Day 20 through 30, I spent practicing torsos and hips, and then focusing more on the full structure of the person. Day 24 through 25, I drew this Grievous, and I drew these wolves just for some odd reason. I just thought it was cool. And actually for this drawing, I spent, I think, 3 hours working on it, but I gave it to my teacher who was teaching us about birds for a month. And as Christmas came around, I took a break. For Christmas, I got an anime-styled anatomy book. I highly recommend. It was very helpful. In copying from the book, I tried to get many different positions and faces down. Then starting to actually work on some anime pieces where I would just look up some references and work on that daily. Working from day 30 to 36. And I definitely had a lot of fun, and there was definitely 0 down days for sure. Objection! Okay, I was lying. I definitely had some days where I just didn't want to draw. It just became a hassle while I was trying to get work done, especially for school. But I powered through. 36 to 40, I kept working on poses. This one honestly came out great. I like how it turned out. Pose, perfect. And my sister even used it to model some of her clothes that she was doing for design. Starting through days 40 through 50, I started using color for the first time. Just using colored pencils on some of these drawings that honestly came out pretty well. And then we had this drawing. Kaneki looking like he got jumped by Gordon Ramsay with a frying pan.
You fucking donkey!
After that absolute atrocity, I just went back to doing what I normally do. Then ended up on this drawing where I actually did some decent shading. Then on day 49, I drew this. The best drawing I had ever done. Taking over, I think, 9 hours. And on day 50, I drew this absolute Chad. Then on day 60 and 70, I made my first original character. And I know what you may be thinking. This looks spectacularly terrible. But it gets better, I promise. Because we entered my phase of drawing animals. Now looking at this first drawing, you might think, oh, it looks terrible. Well, I agree. After 3 days of slamming my head into a wall trying to figure out dogs, I finally got this drawing. A nice dapper young border collie. One must imagine him fixing his bow tie. And then on day 66, I drew this little puppy, who was actually referenced from my grandparents' old dog. Then I did a more detailed drawing of a deer, looking rather dashing, some might say. On day 63, I drew my friend's bunnies. Then on day 64, I drew the best character from the Ice Age movies. And on day 65, as a memento to my mom's birthday, I drew this cardinal. On day 66, I drew this absolute cutie patootie otter. And in honor to Tom and Jerry, I drew this more realistic mouse. On day 68, I drew this nice young lad of a penguin who definitely won't stab you. And then drawing my friend's cat. And then on day 70, I hit a new peak with the best drawing, in my opinion, of any animal I've drawn, which is a lion cub. Then came around day 70 through 80. During these next 10 days, I started working on environments, and the time lapse you're seeing is the first one I did. And you can clearly tell a lot of my shading is getting much, much better, and especially the detailing on a lot of my drawings. I started working on the finer details, as like you can see on the trees here. And the final product, I think, for my first landscape drawing turned out amazing. At the time of these drawings, it was around February. On day 83, I started drawing a bunch of couples. As Valentine's Day neared, I kept doing more and more couple drawings, as well as some landscape drawings, which honestly came out amazing. Day 86 through 89, I worked on this drawing, which took a long time, but it came out amazing. The gun looks perfect, and I think that at this point, this was the cleanest drawing I had. Finally seeing myself with more confident line art, and as well as getting the gradient right for the shading. Day 90, I created another original character. She turned out all right. I think the hand could have been better, but this took forever. The last 10 days had arrived, 90 through 100. In the last 10 days, I've made myself put as much time as possible into these drawings, trying to get them as clean as possible. This one took 6 hours. Don't even ask me how long it took me to get that hand. It took ages. I was 100% getting gray hairs. Day 92, I took a trip up to the beach. So this one took me, I think, 11 hours on the drive up. But the detail on the hair and the beard was definitely worth it. However, the proportions were 100% off. This drawing of Sekiro from a game I really enjoyed took me from day 93 to 94. All the details took so long to do, taking 1 hours, but it turned out just spectacularly. This drawing of a dragon I did on day 95 took so long to figure out the proportions. I couldn't really get the head to line up exactly with the body, but I think after the fact, when I added the cliff, it just brought the whole scene together. Day 96 was this drawing. I just tried to go for as clean of lines as possible. There are some mistakes you can tell, but I think all the shading and the gradients just look great. Day 97 through 99, I spent doing this Ghost of Tsushima drawing. This took way too long to get the face right. I still suck at faces, but I'm glad that the detail and the cape and the mask just all make it come together, and I think the scene just looks amazing. Then we finally reached day 100. After day 99, I took a long break, I think 2-3 months. I was really burnt out after a lot of those drawings. Silksong had been released 2 weeks before I drew this drawing, and I love how this turned out. It's a very cute rendition of the Bell Beast and Hornet riding on top. After these 100 days, I can confidently say I got so much better at drawing. My anatomy, my shading, everything got significantly better, and I cannot stress this enough. Just practicing every single day made me infinitely better than I was when I first started. And if you guys want to continue following me on my journey to getting better at art, please subscribe, like the video. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.